Adam Sandler. We all know him. And I'd like to say we all love him, but unfortunately, I feel like a lot of people have some weird hatred towards his movies. So many people I know talk about how he's not funny, and you'll hear a lot of people use the same point, which I think is original, but really isn't. Where they'll say the only reason he makes movies is to go on holidays with his friends. And I mean, I don't think that's false, but I do think by saying stuff like this, you're discrediting someone who could potentially be one of the world's best actors, comedians, and artists.
Hey, whatever floats your boat, Mr. Henry. I'm just saying.
So I should preface all of this by acknowledging that there could be some bias here, as I am and always have been a massive Adam Sandler fan. So one thing I will say is the kind of comedy he is known for is not actually something I'm that big a fan of. You know, that kind of like weird slapstick, oddly inappropriate, but also family style humor. It's never really been something that interests me that much. And although that kind of Adam Sandler movie I do find enjoyable, that's not why I like him so much. And too often, movies like Grown Ups, Pixels, and even newer Netflix stuff like Stanley Wexler are what kind of flood people's mind when they think of Adam Sandler. If not that, maybe his earlier stuff like Billy Madison or Happy Gilmore.
Son of a bitch, Paul, why didn't you just go home? That's your home! Are you too good for your home? Answer me!
But I think it's time we focus on what's in between. Not just look at his own movies through Happy Madison, but his performances too, in movies that aren't his. Because really, I think that's where the magic is.
Why you do this? I feel no pain.
So for the last 6 months or so, my brother and I have been watching through every single Adam Sandler movie in a big list. And in the coming months, I will be making a video ranking every movie from best to worst. Even though realistically, I don't think that's something anyone wants to see, but it's my channel, so f**k off. But going through all of his films has made me realize that Adam Sandler is an incredible actor. Not only that, he's really funny. And let's be real, he looks like one of the coolest guys ever. And I'm not just saying that because he looks just like my dad. Alright, so I've said all this shit about how great I think Adam Sandler is, but really nothing to say why I think that. Great, thanks for watching. Got him. Alright, so the reason I even decided to make this video in the first place, instead of just waiting till I've watched all the movies, is because last night, my brother and I, we watched a movie called Reign Over Me. So this is a movie starring Adam Sandler, but I probably wouldn't call it an Adam Sandler movie. It was, however, produced by his production company, Happy Madison, but it's not a comedy. This movie is amazing. His performance is one of the best I've ever seen, and this is the first time in a long time I've actually cried in a film. And before we get any deeper, yes, I know, just because someone can do comedy and sad doesn't mean they have great range. But in this case, yes it does. I don't want to actually say anything about the movie specifically, because I went into it completely blind, and it was one of the best experiences ever, so I suggest you do the same. So the first thing I want to discuss is Adam Sandler at his worst. So we can see why people actually hate him, and we can get that good balance. Like I said before, I'm currently writing up a video ranking all the movies, so I don't want to spoil any of that. But there are two films specifically I want to talk about. In this segment, I'm calling Adam Sandler, more like Badam Sandlame. God, I'm so sorry for that. Alright, so the first movie is Jack and Jill. I hate this movie. Honestly, this is not only one of the worst Adam Sandler movies I've ever seen, but just one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Nothing about this movie is enjoyable. The plot makes no sense, and there's literally not one funny moment in the entire movie that's supposed to be a comedy. I honestly don't know why anybody thought making this film was a good idea. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, let's discuss Adam Sandler's performance in the film. So if you haven't seen Jack or Jill or don't know anything about it, basically it's about these two twins that are named Jack and Jill. But here's the crazy part, they're both played by Adam Sandler. I'm like 90% sure when they're coming up with the idea for this movie, they were literally like, what if he played his own twin? That's a great idea. It'll be out next month. I honestly can't stress how bad this movie is. Okay, so the writing and the characters themselves are just awful. Jill is extremely annoying, and Jack is supposed to be this like big shot who doesn't have time for his sister, but he just comes off as a dickhead. But considering how they were written, Adam performs both characters like he should. And I don't think there's anything specifically bad about his performances. It's more so just the characters themselves are written poorly and are bad characters. That being said, I do think everyone in this film, including Adam Sandler, did not want to be there and did not give a shit about how it turned out. Just the thought of Al Pacino wanting to sleep with Adam Sandler in drag makes me so uncomfortable.
Sister and I grew up on the same streets. When I look at her, I see me.
When I look at her, I see me too.
So alongside Jack and Jill, another awful film is The Cobbler. So for this film, Adam Sandler had nothing to do with the production itself and were just cast in it. But holy moly, this film is so boring. Literally nothing happens, the dialogue makes no sense, and the story is so weird. I really hope you don't care about Cobbler spoilers. There's this super strange plot point where the Cobblers are like Batman, They have this weird like cobble cave or some shit. To be honest, I don't really remember too well, and the last thing I want to do is go back and watch it, so. But although the movie itself is just awful, I do need to say this. Both Adam Sandler and Steve Buscemi do a great job in this movie. His performance is really good, especially considering he's been given this rubbish dialogue. And he plays a good cobbler, I guess. Alright, so I'm sure you can kind of see the trend I'm going for here. Yes, he's in some bad movies, and you can tell a lot of them are done super lazily, and he doesn't really care about them. Even when the movie is awful, he's still able to give a good performance. Also, a lot of the films that are considered his best are written or partially written by him. So you can tell there is some talent there. Okay, so we've established he can act, but what about comedy? Like I said, a lot of his best movies were written by him, and I would say his comedy is an acquired taste. So let's have a look at Adam doing stand-up, and this segment I like to call Adam Sland-up. In 2018, Netflix released a comedy special called Adam Sandler 100% Fresh. And this was supposed to be like his comeback to the stage after all this time. If you haven't seen this special, I would highly recommend going back and watching it, because it's actually really funny. He's got this great style of joke telling where he does this like long walk for a short sip of water kind of thing, where he'll tell this joke and it's this really long, like drawn out fake story with this like really abrupt, like dumb ending, but the whole thing itself is a joke. I would say that's probably not for everybody, and I can kind of understand why people wouldn't find this funny, but I personally love it. Also, he does some really great musical comedy with a lot of really funny songs. That is somewhere I think Adam Sandler really shines. Like, if you go back and watch some of his old SNL sketches, some of my all-time favorites are his songs, because I feel like his personality really shines through these. And honestly, there have been times where I've been walking in public, and the Lunch Lady song pops up into my head, and I just start bursting out laughing in front of random people. Lunch Lady Land. If you haven't seen it, you have to go watch it. And if you have seen it, go watch it again. So one more thing I want to discuss briefly are what I would say are some of his best performances ever. In the last segment, I'm calling, "Ah damn, he good." I honestly can't apologize enough for these. So I'm sure at this point, most people have heard of the Netflix film he did in 2019 called Uncut Gems. And I think all the hype around that movie did make people realize that he actually is a good actor. Then a year later, Hubie Halloween came out and everyone just went back to hating him. So I'm sure we all know how amazingly good he was in this film, but that's not what I want to talk about. What I do want to talk about is a film from 2002 called Punch Drunk Love. I don't want to give anything away about the plot, because if you haven't seen this movie, it's a must watch. But I do want to talk about how good Adam Sandler is in this movie. So the character he plays in this movie is this introverted, heavily anxious, very mentally unstable guy who goes on this journey that continuously pushes him to his limit. And throughout the movie, he has these like outbursts that every time happens puts you on the edge of your seat and really makes you feel the pain of this man. And throughout the whole movie, he's got this way of making you just relate to him so much, and you're feeling the anxiety he's feeling, and it's just intense the whole way through. So in conclusion, I love Adam Sandler. I'm in love with Adam Sandler, and I want him to come to Australia so he can live with me. No, but in all seriousness, I really do think he's one of the world's greatest talents. And although he's like super rich and famous, so this video is probably like extremely redundant, I basically just wanted to justify why I love him so much. I'm really excited to sit down and finish watching all these movies so we can rank them. But until then, I'll see you later. Take care. Thanks for watching.